Good evening, everyone, and thank you so much for taking the time this evening to share in celebrating African American history in Jacksonville. Going to share. So, as you know, Jacksonville has a very rich African American history, and we are going to look at some historical events, but what I really wanted to showcase is what our students have been doing and what our students have been working on to really research and learn about our local African American history, because I feel like that's such an important thing and such an important opportunity that we are having for our students in Duval County. It's unlike anything that I've seen in any other district throughout our state. But the first thing is just kind of going through and, what do you know about African American history in Jacksonville? So this is actually Norman Studios, and Norman Studios was was a filmmaking, because Jacksonville was kind of the Hollywood of the South, and Norman Studios saw the potential for making films featuring African Americans, and they were the first to publish these silent films. And actually, Norman Studios is been refurbished, and they are starting to allow for tours in there, which is really, really cool. And we're hoping to get our students there next summer. This is the second question, and this will be A. Philip Randolph. Our third question. This church is located in East Jacksonville and is recognized as the mother of both the Florida Conference of the AME, organized in 1867, and the East Cliff Florida Conference, established in 1877. And this is Mother Midway AME Church. We had some students that have gone to this area and learned a lot, and we have several students who have traced heritages back to this church. And our last one, and this will be R.L. Brown. And one of the reasons why I love to bring in R.L. Brown is because a lot of our students go to or went to elementary school there, and they don't realize what the significance of the name is. And so being able to expose our students to this history and giving them lessons and activities that they can do to learn about where their school name comes from. And our last one. And this would be Sally B. Mathis. And again, this is another great way for our students to learn where our school names come from and how they were important African American figures in our community. So just looking at some places that are important in our area with African American history, and just some things before I get to our that our students learn about. They do learn about Kingsley Plantation, and this is an important spot because our students really don't know that this has a rich African American history, not just with the slaves, but with Anna Kingsley as well, being the first African American woman to own a plantation, and she was given that property rights. There's a great bunch of information and tours daily, and you can head to the Jackson Magazine. They give you wonderful information about this. Another area that our students have been noticing and is often overlooked is Brewster Hospital, and they are as well also refurbishing the building to provide tours so that especially in the La Villa neighborhood, and reviving that to become an African American history tour area. And then the J.P. Small Memorial Stadium, or the Durkeeville Field as it was called, we just had a great group of students that put together a lesson plan and researched information about Durkeeville Field. And one of the things that they were actually able to do, and it wasn't anything that was publicized, is when the Browns came and played the Jaguars, the football team actually went out to Durkeeville Field, and they played a game of baseball, and they learned about the history from our students. So it was a really great experience that our students were able to share the information that they learned about researching the field and the players, and then we're able to share that with others, and then people not from Jacksonville. So that was a very cool experience for our students. And then we also just recently, last week, had the Red Caps game where we had Reigns and Ribot play each other, and kind of representing the Red Caps that were here in Jacksonville. So, kind of one of the things that I wanted to share with the community this evening, and about our African American history initiatives that we have going on here in Duval County Public Schools. And one of the things that many people don't know is there is a state statute that does require the integration of both African and African American history into all curriculum. And we work with all the other different subject group areas, such as math and science, language arts, health, to make sure that they are also integrating this into their curriculum. Like I said, with the JP Smalls, we've had students create lessons, and I'll share some of that information with you in a moment. We can add that into a PE lesson plan. So if they're in their PE or health class, they can learn about the JP Smalls, the Red Caps. In health, they might learn about Brewster Hospital. In the nursing, they might learn it in a CTE course. Now, our district actually has exemplary status, and we've also been called by the state task force, because there is a state African American history task force, that not only are we exemplary, but they like to call us a flagship district. And I help other school districts that are looking to get this exemplary status, and with some of the things that they do, such as partnering with Parent Academy to get this information out into our community, working with professional development, integrating African American studies into the curriculum, partnering with our universities, and also other community partnerships. Also, we do have our own African American Studies book. So our textbook that we have, it is not an adopted textbook, but is a resource for teachers to use. In this book, it was created because, we do have some controversial issues with this course. And one of the things that I wanted to do was provide teachers and students with a way to learn about African American history. And this is a book of primary and secondary sources. And it also includes a lot of local history, because one of the things we find when we look at textbooks is they tend to leave out our local history because they're, made for nationwide use. So we do have here in Duval our own special book. So one of the big things too that our students kept saying was, when they learned about African American history, they only learned on either during Black History Month or during Martin Luther King Day. And then they only learned about Rosa Parks, Martin Luther King, slavery. They didn't learn about all of the other important people and events that were taking place. And so that was one of the things we were tasked with, is kind of making sure that students were given that opportunity to really learn about African American history. And that's why we've been really pushing to get into all the content areas and revamping our curriculum. And one of the biggest things that, talking with our superintendent and our deputy superintendent, was that our students wanted more. They wanted to be able to research. So that kind of led us into our summer writing institute. Now, we just had our second year this past summer, where we have invited students to come in and they research local African American history, they find primary sources, and they create lesson plans for teachers to use. Now, the students, they're usually from rising 10th to 12th graders. They need to have transportation to and from. We're usually at Stanton to get back and forth. We have an application process as well, where students will fill out an application. It's 3 weeks, and the 3 weeks goes by so fast. And we also, as we get the applications in, and myself, Dr. Krisner, and others on our local task force, we tend to meet and then decide, which students are getting in. And we always make sure that every single high school is represented in that camp, because we want to make sure it's representative of our students as well. So we make sure that every single school is represented, and they complete the application. It's great. The first summer we did it We had over 300 applications and we invited 80 students. And last summer is about the same. We had like close to 400 applications and we had about 80 students again that attended. The students do receive a stipend or they can get volunteer hours for Bright Future. Um, there is students do have to follow some rules in order to get that stipend. So that they have to attend, they can only miss like 1 or 2 days. So they can't just come one day and then come back the next day and expect to get their stipend. They have to attend and participate in the program. We do have teachers that help us. They are all grade levels. And it was great because this past summer we had a elementary school teacher, which really helped our students kind of build a lesson plans for elementary schools. We also had an art teacher to kind of incorporate that art. Um, all of our teachers, again, they represent a diverse group of teachers. They come from all different schools, from all different areas of Jacksonville. Um, they're not just social studies. We have ELA teachers. Like I said, we have art teachers. We had a technology teacher this year. We've had an ESC teacher, which are special education teacher, and they all just are really excited about this project. We do have community partners as well. We have communities in schools, Ed Waters, University of North Florida, our public library, and then different churches and museums. And also some of our local, like historical societies as well, have partnered with us. The building background knowledge is a lot of fun because, like I said, this is 3 weeks in the summertime. We usually do it right when they get out, so they have, July is theirs, and it is so much fun. It goes by so fast. So in this time, we're trying to crunch in, like helping students not only learn how to interview and learn how to do research, but also to be able to go out and see what's in the community. So last summer we did some different trips. We went to Kingsley Plantation and the students absolutely loved it. We did a walking tour with the Jacksonville Historical Society where we started in the Old City Cemetery and then moved out from there, and then walked around downtown doing kind of a little civil rights tour. And that happened to be the summer during like one of the hottest days of the summer. And the poor students, they were just drenched in sweat, but they were so excited and having a great time. Um, and I just could, I mean, they were just so much, they were so wonderful. We've done a mural tour. We've gone to the Eartha White Museum. Also, another big thing we do is we go to the library. As we said, we partner with them. And during the first 2 to 3 days, our students go to the library and the librarians show them like where the special collections are, how you do research, how do you make sure that something is correct. And then they will ask the students their topics. And then throughout the 3 weeks, students will have a bus that goes back and forth to the library. And the librarians will have everything pulled and ready for them, which is wonderful. And we also bring in outside resources. We've brought in some newscasters, newspaper writers, so like Mark Woods from the Times-Union. Courtney Cole came from the news. I know we've had Tanika Hughes as well that's come in. And they've talked to our students about interview skills because some of our students have topics where the people are still alive or there might be somebody who is a descendant of that person. And we teach them how to interview, how to ask questions, making eye contact, things like that, how to take notes. And our students really enjoy that. We've also had UNF professors that have come in to show us different research strategies and research they have. And it's just been great. Then they have to create their lesson plans and they have to cite everything. They have to share what standard it's aligned to. Here are some of our research topics that we've done. And we have a lot, and it's all local Jacksonville history. One of the really interesting ones is West Louisville. That was an elementary school, and it was an elementary school for African American students here in Jacksonville. And it was one that just kind of nobody really knew about. And it was in a talk with the Jackson magazine, and we happened to see it. And our students got up in our school records, and they were really looking through some of the old books and found like a list of the teachers and their salaries. It was very interesting to watch them look at that. Um, they've also done, Edwaters College, Kingsley Plantation, La Villa, Norman Studios. It's been a great project. This past summer, one of the biggest things too, we had student interns. So these were students that had graduated from our high school, and they decided to come back and help. We also had student webmasters, so you could see what we're doing and put some of those lesson plans out there first for the public to see. And then we also had a technology teacher to help us make sure everything was good, kind of take some videos and things like that of our students. Once they get to the end of the 3 weeks, so the last week, students will then put their lesson plan together, and these must be easy for teachers to use. So they use those, the structure that our teachers would use. Then they present to we present to principals at the Principal Summer Institute. We also have a showcase where we invite the community to come in. And then also we do it at teacher pre-planning. We'll have them set up. We also have our Florida Task Force conference. We had a student panel, and then we also have a district task force as well, and our students present there too. These are some great things that have actually kind of moved forward from beyond just our summer and making these great connections. So we've had some places where community partners and organizations have come in and seen what our students are doing and then taken notice of it. So like the Jacksonville Historical Society, they want to make a marker for the West Louisville Elementary, and they're working with our students on designing that and creating it. Also, the Kingsley Plantation Group, the National Park Rangers came out and saw it, and they want to create a video to kind of showcase for teachers to use, since sometimes field trips aren't that easy, and they're working with those students as well. So there's a lot of ways that our students is continuing beyond just the summer, and even our teachers are using these lessons in their classrooms. But we're really excited about this program that we're continuing to do, and we'll be doing it again next summer. Bringing in students, researching local African American history. We've been trying to find new and exciting, and maybe not even exciting, but just new topics for our students, because we want to make sure we're touching all different areas of Jacksonville African American history. Like I said, we're working with UNF, Edwaters, to make sure that we're not missing any topics and that they're able to help us provide that with our students. I know that was a lot and we had some video issues, but are there any questions? Well, I want to thank you all very much for attending. It's always great when we get to share the wonderful initiatives that we have going on in Duval County Public Schools, and we hope that you will attend our next Parent Academy.